Hey, what's up guys? So I'm going to show you how to take any kind of lead that you're getting and put it into whatever system you're currently using to track your leads, whether that's just a spreadsheet or a CRM or whatever it is. And there's three main points I want to make about this. One, I'm going to show you how to do it completely free. Two is that I'm going to show you how to do it in a way that there's absolutely no coding. It's just clicking buttons with the mouse, and I'm going to walk you through every single step. So the reason I mentioned those two things is there is no real reason to not do this. You know, it's free and it's relatively easy. Yeah, it might take you 20 minutes to set up, but it's gonna save you a ton of time in the long run. And the third main point I wanna bring up about this is where everything is going. And the sooner you can adapt and start to digitize things, the better, because you don't wanna get left behind with this stuff. And I promise you, once you start taking it on, it's not as difficult and tough as it may seem at the surface level. So for my example, I'm gonna show you how to do it with the CRM that I do charge for, but I do offer a completely free CRM on my website. So again, there's no excuse not to use one. And like I said, even if you're using something else, there's tons of other CRMs out there, or even if it's as basic as a spreadsheet, this system will work and you can do this and make it so that you shouldn't manually enter any of your leads. Meaning if somebody goes to your website, fills out a form, that lead should just boom, immediately go into whatever system you're using, so that eventually, if you do have something it immediately calls them or texts them or notifies you, you know right away that you got the lead. Because when somebody is actively searching for a painting estimate and they enter their information or whatever, that's the best time to set it up or to reach out to them, because they're in that mind state hey, I want to get this done, I want to get my estimate set. And sometimes just by you reaching out, setting it up right then and there is the reason you get the job, because they leave voicemails for two other companies, they don't call them back for a few days, and hopefully you get the point. And even if you're not doing that, totally understand, but it's just going to make you really organized if all of your leads are in chronological order in some kind of system. So let's jump into the computer and let me show you how to do this. So you can just Google Zapier, go to view pricing, and you can see here that they do have a free version that gives you 100 tasks per month. A big catch here is that you only can do 2-step zaps. Luckily, that's all we're really doing, and it's the exact example it gives. Add the lead to my CRM. But if you wanted to do anything else, they're going to try to bump you up to a paid version, and they'll try to get you to a paid version. But it is possible to use Zapier for free. 100 tasks, if you got 100 leads a month, it would still be free as long as you can keep it at a 2-step task, which we can do. So it is possible to do it free. So now you can press sign up right here. I'm just going to sign in with Google. All right, and this is the home page. If you go to Zaps, it's going to show you all your Zaps. It's best practice to label your Zaps, something you'll remember. You can even use folders to help you. If you only use it for this purpose, it's not that hard, but if you start having 10, 20, 30 Zaps, speaking from experience, make sure you just do a really good job of labeling them so you know what's going on. So we're going to say create Zap, and we're going to come to this trigger right here, and we're going to say email. All right, so the idea with this is you're getting emails that tell you got a lead, and you want those to automatically go into the CRM. Someone fills out a contact form, and then you're getting a email that is in some way, shape, or form standardized, meaning that it always looks like this. You're going to want to do one zap per type of email. Hopefully that makes sense. You'll see why here in a minute. So we're going to say create zap, and we're going to come to this trigger right here, and we're going to say email. And then you're going to pick this email parser by Zapier, and you're going to click an event. You want to say new email, continue. Now for the account, you're going to click sign in. It's going to bring up this login page. The email parser by Zapier is technically not Zapier. It's a little different. Doesn't matter. Just put login with Zapier account, authorize. Now you created an account, and we actually want to click on this. You can manage all of your connected accounts here, which will open up a new tab. And this is an app that's actually connected to Zapier, and we're going to configure some stuff in here. I'm going to put edit connection name, and I like to name each one appropriately. So I just put something like website contact form emails. All right, so this is where it gets a little janky in my opinion with Zapier. You want to make sure that you're not here, but that you click in and you're here. You can press add connection. It'll bring up this pop-up, and you can do everything in the pop-up if you want. You actually don't need to authorize again. You would go to create mailbox. But if you don't want to do it in a pop-up, you can click this guy right here, to take you to this page. You scroll down to the bottom and you're going to go to this URL here. So we'll go copy, bring this down a little bit so you can see my URL bar, paste. And then when you're here, you're going to click login. And this is the actual URL you want to go to, parser.zapier.com/login. We don't want to log in. We're already logged in. You want to actually click this create mailbox at the top right. So I'll click that and it's going to create an email address for you. And you want to send an email to this email address. And it's best to send the email that you want to have parsed. So I'm going to copy this email address and I'm going to go to my email and look at an email that I would get when I get a lead. So we're actually going to say forward, and it's important you don't want all this forward stuff in the email. So you want it to look just like this. So I'm going to come down here, highlight all that, delete it so that it looks just like the regular email I would get. For the recipient, paste in that email address that it created for me. Let's go back here, press send. And you'll come back here and you just wait until it receives the email. So every 10 seconds it'll refresh on its own. If you're impatient, you can click here to force it to, but it will take a little bit. Okay, it came through. Now here's when you can actually change the name if you want to, but you want it to be hard to guess and something random. So I would suggest keeping these letters here, but either before or after adding something to help you remember. Don't use capital letters, it won't let you save it. So you could put something like website leads. All right, now here's where you parse the email. Now I've learned it's best to have every entry be just one thing. What I mean by that is when we look at this, we've got name and then that's one, email and that's one. What you want to avoid is like on name here, you don't want to do, let me just show you. You don't want to go like this is first name and this is last name, which we could do. Instead, you want the whole name to be one thing. If you try to separate different entries, so if you tried to have like this be its own entry and this be its own entry, I find that the parser struggles and usually does it wrong. So I'm going to highlight this whole thing right here and then we're going to name this section. So I'm going to name this full name. You could call it whatever you want, but that's the easiest for me to remember what this is. I'm going to press save. Now we've got the email, so highlight the whole thing and then email. Save. Same thing with the number. And then this message here, you could call it message, description, whatever you want. Because I know in the CRM, I'm going to put this under the description. I'm going to call it description and I'm going to press save. Okay, so now I've parsed this email. So whether it's from your website or one of your leads that you pay for through a lead service, you can parse these out. Just try to stick to that one variable per like entry. All right, and then down here, you can just leave these where they're at. If you happen to know the difference between plain text and HTML, and you know that this is always going to be plain text, then you could switch it to that. Or if it's always going to be HTML, you could switch it to that. But if you have no idea, no worries. Just leave these as they are, and you should be fine. So now we're going to press save address and template. All right, and then it takes you to your mailboxes. So if we're back to here, and you go to mailboxes, this is where you're at, and you'll see I have another example in there. You would just create as many mailboxes as you need for each different email you get that's a lead. So if you pay for leads through a lead service like Angie, you could make one for Angie, make one for networks, your website, so on and so on. And if you open these, you can press view emails and you can see your emails here. And we can see this is what was extracted. This is the original. This is the template it's using. And this is the output it gave. So we got those two in there. And I'm going to use this website leads one in our Zap. So we're going to go to trigger. And this is where you pick the mailbox. So I'm going to pick that webs leads, the one that we just created. I'm going to press continue. And this is the test. So go ahead and click test trigger and it should pull in that first email that you used right here. If you sent other emails afterwards or got any afterwards, it would pull up multiple. So it'd be like A, B, C. All right, so we're going to say continue with selected record. And for the next step, you're just going to pick whatever CRM or program you're using to put your leads into. I'm going to pick my CRM Paint Pals for this example. And now the event we want to do is add/update opportunity. Press continue. And now you're going to need to sign in and then press continue. All right, and then for the action, this is like what you want this task to do. We want this action. So we've got first name, last name, and full name. If you remember from our email, we just did the full name, and that's what I suggest. So I'm going to click here and it'll say insert data, and it's going to show us all the data from step 1. You can also just manually type stuff if you want, and you can also like click on something and it will import that. But here we want the full name, so I can search here for full name. I can also search for parse, because everything that was parsed starts with parse output. So I can put parse output, and now you can see we've got our full name, we've got our phone, we've got our email, and we have the description. So I'm going to do full name and it drops it in there. Then for phone number, same thing. I'm going to search for parse output, click output phone. Email, you can see parsed output email right there. And then for address, we didn't have that in the email. Right here, an address doesn't exist. If it did, you would parse that out and use that. But the next thing we had was the description. If there's an asterisk, that means you have to put something. For this, just put true. It really doesn't matter if you put true or false, but you can just put true. Notes, if you wanted to add notes, you could. For the pipeline, it's important. We're going to put, this is a lead. So click on leads. And then for the stage right here, we're going to put new. So leads new is how you want all new leads to come in. You can assign it to a user. I recommend not though, because the system's going to do that. So just leave it blank. I would leave the relationship blank. If you put lead, you would think that that's right, but a lot of times the leads you get could be, you know, a scammer or a solicitor. So I would leave that blank. Lead source, this is one you definitely want to fill out. There'll be a drop down with all your lead sources and wherever this email is coming from, right? So in this example, it's the website. So go ahead and put website for your lead source. The rest of this stuff we can leave blank. Here's the description. So I'm going to actually put in that message, this right here, which I labeled description when I parsed it out. So I'm going to look for parsed out description and leave the rest of this stuff blank. The description is the last thing you want to enter. So that's it. I'm just going to press continue. And now you can actually test the step. So when I click test step, this should actually put this fake lead into the CRM for us. All right, and now we want to go check and make sure that the lead came in properly. If it didn't, we can make adjustments now and retest till it comes in the way that we want. So let's take a look at that real quick. So you're gonna go to your CRM and go to contacts. And if it's organized by create date, which is the default, that first one should be whatever email you use as the example. And I'm just going to open this up, make sure that all this looks correct. And really what I'm looking for is that the phone number went to the phone number. It didn't like come into the address on accident or something like that. All right, everything looks correct. So I'm going to go back to my Zap, and I would recommend naming this something that you remember. So if you come up to right here, you can hit rename, and I'll put website leads to CRM. That'll help me remember it, whatever you want to label it, and then just press publish and it will publish. Okay, great. So we're not done yet. We actually need to have these emails go to this email address right here. So depending on your email service provider you're using, there's different ways of doing that. I'm using Gmail here, so I'll show you how to do it on Gmail. There's a way to do this no matter what email service provider you're using. If it's not Gmail, I would just YouTube how to do it on yours. But some email providers such as Google, before they allow you to forward to an email address, you first have to prove that you have access to, or whoever owns that email address is okay with you forwarding emails to. So in order to do that, you're going to want to go to settings, see all settings, forwarding and POP. And then I'm going to click this add forwarding address. Then I'm going to come to my Zap and I'm going to copy this. Just go into your Zap, click on step 1, and it'll show you the mailbox. You can also just copy it from here, whatever's easiest. I'm going to go copy, paste, next. It's going to verify that it's me doing it. And you're just going to hit proceed. And it's going to tell you that they sent a confirmation link to this email address that you basically have to click on to verify you have access and permission to forward to this mailbox. So the way we get to the mailbox is we go back to here, and if you're in the login page, just click mailbox up here. We'll see our mailboxes. This is the one, so I want to say view emails, and you can see that email from Google came in right here. So I'm going to press show and it shows the email. And you can see I tried to parse it out, but since it was nothing like the template, parsed out random stuff. So in Google, it'll say, please click the link below to confirm request. So I'm just going to copy this, bring this down so you can see, go to a new tab, paste, and then click this confirm. And now Google is giving us permission to forward emails to this email. Looks like Zapier also forwards it to you. So you could have just came here and clicked this. Either way it works. Now something to realize is this went through your Zap. So it made a lead based on this. So let's go ahead and get rid of that in our CRM. So if you come to your CRM, you can see this is that lead it created when it's all jumbled and doesn't make sense because it was the forwarding email from Google. So I'm going to actually click here, press delete, confirm, and now that contact is out of the CRM. And then also what I like to do, this forwarding one, I don't want this in my inbox here. So I'm going to go ahead and click here and say delete selected emails. So we only have that first one that's a template in there. All right, so now the way that you create auto forwarding in Gmail is you create filters. So you can go to settings, see all settings, filters, create a new filter here, and basically you put in your parameters. The way I like to do it, and I'll show you why, is I like to search and make sure my search results are correct, and then I create the filter after that. So what I mean by that is I'm going to say, hey, all these emails, I want to filter those out. So I'm going to first look at where this email is coming from, which is this email address. I'm going to go copy. I'm going to click right here. I'm going to say from this place, search. See, these are all new customer messages, but sometimes I get like this payout and I don't want that one. So I'm going to make my search more precise. And something these all have in common is it says new customer message where this one didn't. So I'm going to open one of these up and I'm going to highlight this and go copy. Then I'm going to drop this into the subject and I'm going to press search. And now all of these are correct. These are all, quote unquote leads. So now I'm going to click here again. I'm going to say create filter. And now you can select forward to and select that email address, which was the website leads. And you can mess with this stuff. I would suggest in the beginning just leaving it so you can double check everything's working right. Create filter. Needs to verify it's me again. All right, so now we should be forwarding to the email box. Let's go ahead and test this. All right, let's press send. Cool. Now within not even 10 seconds, it should go straight into the CRM. So it did go to my email and it should have got forward. So I'm just going to refresh this contact page and we should see it as the first lead. Yep, I am Baker. So it looked like it was missing the J. So it's missing the J here and it's missing the J there. It's missing the 7 right here. So it's missing the first letter of all of the email. And this is the downfall of the email parsing, is it can be difficult to dial it in sometimes, especially when the emails are not just plain text. What I mean by that is these emails have a box around them with some formatting, HTML and stuff, so they're not a simple plain text and it's harder for the parser. So we're going to adjust this parsing and add more data so that the model can get better. So this is why you want to test it a couple times. I'm going to come back to our mailboxes and I'm going to view emails here, and you can see this is what it extracted and it missed the first letter on them all. So you can see the output is incorrect. So when you're here, you can say report as inaccurate, which is going to prompt you to create an extra template. So I'm going to say inaccurate, and now we're giving it an extra template and we're going to format this correctly. So we're going to make sure we get that first letter, highlight it, call that name, highlight everything, call that email, phone, description. All right, now I'm going to press save extra template and you can see it says extra template saved. Hopefully that makes our parser smarter. So now let's test this again and see if it worked and made it smarter. All right, let's go back to our CRM, go to contacts, refresh, and it's missing the first letter again. So I'm just going to repeat it again. Okay, looks like this one came in correctly. Let's open it up. All right, we've got more fake. All right, the M's are there and this came in. Okay, so you can see I had to give it 3 templates before it got it down. And just some really quick troubleshooting thing. Like I said, if there's a way for you to get the email in a very easy formatted way with just plain text in your settings or the way you adjust it, I would do that. The only other thing you can mess with if you're really having issues is go back to the mailbox and click this gear icon, and you can try changing these. So you could say plain text or HTML. Usually the best works, but if you're really struggling and it's not working, I would try this. You could also go back to the legacy, their first version, second version. This is supposed to be a mix of the two. I don't know if you'll have much luck there, but it's something you can try. And given enough time, it should work, but it is one of the downfalls of the email parsing is it doesn't always come through well, and is one of the reasons why if you can do the webhook, that is going to be your best bet and less likely to have errors. But you can see now how great that is. Anytime somebody fills out this contact form on this website, I immediately get a lead. And then you can watch the videos on speed to lead to show how you can immediately call them, text them, email them right when they literally press like enter on their keyboard or click the submit button on their mouse. Boom, you're reaching out to them, trying to set that estimate, creating a professional image in their head, as well as that's the best time to reach out is when they're in the mood. They're trying to get estimates right now. They're working on it. So now is when they want to set it up and talk to somebody.